Hey everyone, welcome to SaviorSips. I'm Wanda Evilise, and today the Lord had me in Job 13. So Job was speaking to his friends, letting them know that he understands that he was going through it, right? And that he knows that he is suffering and that God took everything from him. But he never once blamed God or cursed him, right? He just wanted some answers. And he wanted to know as to why he was going through what he was going through. But never once did he blame the Lord because he knew that God was going to vindicate him through it anyways, okay? So it was more of asking God why. Like, why am I going through this, right? Why is this happening to me, right? So in verse 4 through 12 says, you, however, he is speaking to his friends, you, however, smear me with lies. You are worthless physicians, all of you. If only you would be altogether silent. For you, that would be wisdom. Hear now my arguments. Listen to the pleas of my lips. Will you speak wickedly on God's behalf? Will you speak deceitfully for him? Will you show him partiality? Will you argue the case for God? Would it turn out well if he examined you? Could you deceive him as you might deceive a mortal? He will surely call you to account if you secretly showed partiality. Would not his splendor terrify you? Would not the dread of him fall on you? Your maxims are proverbs of ashes. Your defenses are defenses of clay. So his friends, right, they were predicting as to why God allowed Job to be afflicted, as to why Job was going through what he was going through, right? So, but Job had to let them know, like, hey, stop assuming, right? And stop telling me all of these nonsense that has nothing to do with it, okay? If it was them going through it, right? If it was to be them to go through it, they would have been folded on God, right? Because they kept on accusing, like, all of these assumptions and accusations, right? Like, oh, this is happening to you because of this, or this is happening to you because of that, right? But Job was like, I am not trying to hear none of that, right? So let's go to verse 13 through 14. Keep silent and let me speak. Then let come to me what may. Why do I put myself in jeopardy and take my life in my hands? Right? So Job is basically telling his friends, like, why would I speak falsely or be upset at God? Why would he jeopardize himself and take his own life into his own hands, right? Like, take it upon his own matters, right? Meaning, like, why would he go ahead and, start to believe the lies of what his friends were trying to say, right? As to why God allowed for the calamity to fall upon him, right? Like, why would he blame God if God has been so good to him, right? Why would he turn his back on God now just because he found himself in a tough situation? Like, why now, right? So, when God was the one who always protected him and always been there for him. So why now? Just because he's going through a little something, So he knew that God will help him. Okay. So verse 15 through 18 says, though he slay me, yet will I hope in him. I will surely defend my ways to his face. Indeed, this will turn out for my deliverance, for no godless person would dare come before him. Listen carefully to what I say. Let my words ring in your ears. Now that I have prepared my case, I know I will be vindicated. Okay, so God clearly allowed it for a reason, right? And I spoke about this in my last video. God allowed it because pride had crept in. Okay, so it was to teach Job a lesson. Okay, but regardless, that Job know that he will vindicate me, right? He's gonna vindicate me through it. Yes, it hurts, but I know that it's for my own good, right? So Job knew all of these things, but his friends didn't. And it just goes to show, how much faith and trust that they had towards the Lord within their own relationship with God, right? So we are able to see that Job was a noble man, okay, and he was very faithful to the Lord. And no matter what he was going through, he was still gonna rock out with God, right? So his friends were just throwing accusations onto the Lord, right? Accusing him for what Job was going through, right? But Job said, no, this ain't that. And even if it was that, like he will still deliver me through it because God has never failed me. Job already knew, that God had gave him everything that he needed. Everything that he had was because of the Lord, right? So in verses 23 through 27 says, how many wrongs and sins have I committed? Show me my offense and my sin. He is speaking to God now, okay? Why do you hide your face and consider me your enemy? Will you torment a wind-blown leaf? Will you chase after dry chaff? For you write down bitter things against me and make me reap the sins of my youth. You fasten my feet in shackles. You keep me close watch on all my paths, but by putting marks on the soles of my feet. Job was basically stuck in the why. He wanted to know why and the wanting to know why, right? So verse 28 says, so man wastes away like something rotten, like a garment eaten by moths. And that's when it clicked and it hit Job, okay? God is the one who gives and takes away, all right? And he knew that he was nothing without him. We are all nothing without the Lord, right? So this was definitely a humbling moment for Job, okay? God will allow things to take place in our lives to humble us, all right? To show us that without him, we don't have it all together, and that is okay, all right? Everything that we have belongs to him anyways, right? And sometimes God has to break us down in ways to get rid of the pride, right? Those hidden things that's in the heart that, is unclean. The Lord has to, reveal things to us and, sometimes take things away from us so that way he can humble us, right? So it's to show us that just because life can get good, right? Don't forget where he has brought us out from. All right. Remember when you didn't have much. Remember the blessings that I gave you before you took them for granted, right? This is why God has to break us down and humble us, because sometimes we tend to forget where we came from sometimes, and the Lord will break us down into pieces to show us what we had before was exactly what we needed, okay? And some of us like to learn the hard way. It's true. Some of us do like to learn the hard way. But just because we're going through something in that very moment, it doesn't mean, right, that God won't get us through it, right? God will always come through, even when we're asking him why, right? Like why? Because we're gonna ask questions. We're gonna question the Lord at times. Sometimes we're gonna doubt God, right? And that's just in our human nature. Like, like some people, like their faith be faith in, and then you have other people that, sometimes they doubt the Lord, and it's normal. It happens, right? It just shows, what level of faith you have, right? So some people will ask, like, why did this happen to me? Sometimes you just need to remember that whenever we find ourselves in a tough situation, sometimes it really don't be the enemy, right? It be us that have to bear the consequences to our own actions, right? Because remember that thing called free will? Yeah, that free will, that we choose to go a different route than what God has told us to do, right? And we find ourselves then reaping the consequences after. And God allows it though to show us that his way is better, okay? And sometimes we like to do things on our own thinking that it was the right decision, right? Instead of asking God first, what does he think about that, right? And we go and we do it anyways. And you find yourself stuck in a pit, that you can't get yourself out of, right? So God allows hardships to come to show us that we need him, okay? That he is the only one who can save us, and that we don't need no one else or anything else but him. Full dependency on the Lord, right? And it don't be easy. It don't be easy, especially when you're doing things in your own way, right? Wanting to control the situation, you know how, like, you know, wanting to know the whys, hows, and whens, and the date and time, right? But trust me, I know, because I've done that plenty of times. But that's when we come to a humbling state of mind, right? And we come to the conclusion that God is allowing this for a reason. Okay. And instead of blaming God or asking him why, ask him where. Like, where did I go wrong? Was there a better way I was able to handle the situation, right? You know, we must go through things to grow through them, right? Because at the end of the day, when we leave it in God's hand, eventually he will vindicate us, okay? He will restore you and redeem it, all right? You just need to learn, you know, how to grow first through the storm. But remember that the storm always passes us by, because he will get us through it, right? So if you're going through a tough time right now and you're in a Job moment, you're having a Job moment of asking God why, do not worry, because vindication is your portion, all right? Well, I love you guys. If you feel led to sow a seed into this word, hashtag it, vindicate me. And if you're needing prayer, email me. All the information will be in the description box down below. And I'll see you on the next one. Be blessed.
We all need Jesus. We all need Jesus. We need Jesus.